Welcome to another edition of Viatorian Voices Conversations on the Way. This episode was recorded in the middle of VYC, the Viatorian Youth Congress, which took place July 24th to 27th, 2023, in the Arlington Heights, Chicago region of the province. Our guests were three of the young adult leaders.
Associate Buddy Miller. I am this year the YAC at the Viatorian Youth Congress. I am from Maternity BVM Parish.
I'm Milly Colbert. I am a YAL, a young adult leader at this year's VYC, and I'm from St. Bair Parish in Las Vegas.
I'm Trevor Lyon, also a young adult leader for this year's VYC, and I'm from Arlington Heights, St. Bair High School.
VYC is a gathering meant to help high school-age students deepen their understanding of the Viatorian charism and spirituality, and engage more deeply in Viatorian community life. The inaugural Congress was 13 years ago in 2010, and this year is the 12th gathering, our second summer back to full speed, after we had to cancel the flagship event and hold adapted Viatorian Youth Connection, or VY Connect, events in remote and hybrid formats. The participating teams are organized into delegations representing Viatorian institutions that are led by delegation leaders who serve in pastoral roles at those schools and parishes. Through talks, discussions, prayer, and other activities, these young people get to explore God's ongoing invitations for them and come to find a stronger Viatorian identity that they can strive to carry back into their home communities. I'm Pre-Associate Dan Masterton, and I had the privilege of hosting this conversation, recorded during an afternoon break on VYC 2023. In this conversation, Milly, Trevor, and Buddy reflect on their experience with VYC, on what they're seeing in these delegates, and on what gives them hope for the church. The first voice you'll hear is Buddy, sharing a bit about what VYC is all about, followed by Milly, and then Trevor.
Yeah, VYC is an experience for high school students to experience the Viatorian charism in a new and unique way.
Yeah, I would kind of describe it as a way for teens to be able to meet and grow deep connections in faith with other teens that are from all around the country that have that same common denominator of being a Viatorian and being a Catholic.
Yeah, I would probably describe it as summer camp for the Viatorians, and the fact that everyone comes from different places. We're here together for a week, and we all get to share in these great bonding moments, and then learn from each other, and then go our separate ways afterward.
And what do you think drew each of you to want to be a young adult coordinator or leader after having been a delegate a few years back?
For me, it was just I ended up asking Karen what she needed, and she ended up needing a YAC this year. This is my second time being a YAC. She wanted someone with experience, and I was that.
Last year, I was able to go to VYC as a delegate, and it was a really, really awesome experience for me. I came home from the week thinking, oh my gosh, I hope the year goes by really fast so then I can already be back there. And since I was graduating high school, I was able to apply and become a leader to have a little bit of a different experience, which has been cool.
I went on the Viator Youth Connect a few years ago during the COVID year, and I haven't been, this is my first Viatorian Youth Congress, but Brother John texted me and he asked me if I wanted to apply, and I have a lot of connections with the Viatorians, so I decided to, and here I am.
So while you guys are here now again as young adult leaders, what are you seeing in the high school age participants who are here that gives you hope, that shows you how the Viatorian community is continuing to take root in people? What are the positives that are starting to become apparent as you see this year's young people moving through the experience?
I definitely see a fire in all of them, a fire to connect with each other and to learn more about their faith, and just a willingness to jump in, even in the small groups. Usually those can be a little bit awkward with, nobody wanting to jump in and answer questions, but that really hasn't been the case for any of us. They've been super eager to just get into it right away, which is great.
Yeah, and I think that the difference between the Viator Youth Congress and my experience of other retreats is that everyone here who's a delegate was chosen by their campus ministry or theology teachers to be a leader in their faith. And so they already have prior experience with faith-related activities, whereas people on retreats are newer to the idea of exploring their faith.
Yeah, everyone here seems like they really want to be here. It's not forced upon them. so they can bring everything that they learned back and hopefully inspire other youth to start trying to become leaders and be more involved, or just re-inspire them to go back to church and to really start to learn about Jesus again.
So yeah, like you guys point out, this isn't exactly a retreat, and it maybe doesn't have the same pool as just your average group from a high school retreat or from a youth group. Sometimes retreats can be really exceptional experience, but then after you come home from it, maybe it fizzles away, or the good things that you found there don't come home with you. But obviously for you guys and for a lot of other young men and women, VYC became something that carried forward with you into young adult life and at least made you want to come back and be a leader. Can you think of ways in your life that you maybe were propelled forward by what you found on VYC to take certain actions or make certain habits or something in your life after VYC that helped it kind of carry forward?
I think that the thing that draws me to the Viatorians is the strong sense of community. Maybe it's because they're a smaller order, but since I've graduated from Viator, I've stayed in touch with Brother Peter and Brother John and everyone at St. Viator, and they've all continued to reach out to me, and I felt like they were invested in my future. And I think that compassion really brought me back to explore how I can help them and how I can be invested in their future as well.
For me, it was the family atmosphere that we have. I went into it last year never expecting that I would be able to create such great relationships with brothers and priests and associates, because that's something that, when you're younger, you revere them and don't realize that, you might have things in common. So it's been great to make those relationships and have them carry on, and we all get to support each other in our faith, and it's a great family community.
And for me, it's the whole family reunion type of fact that now, especially that I'm a pre-associate, I'm becoming part of that community, and it's just a great way to reconnect with people that maybe you haven't seen in a while.
I think one of my favorite insights from over the years from the Viatorians who help organize VYC is that when young people have done the Viatorian interviews, where you talk with a priest or brother or associate about becoming a Viatorian and their life as a Viatorian, a lot of times the young people describe Viatorians as serious but relatable, or committed to their faith but still accessible, normal people who are down to earth. And I think of when you're a little kid and you see your elementary school teacher in the grocery store, and it hits you that oh my gosh, they don't spend all day every day at school. They have a normal life and normal hobbies. I think VYC helps show young people how brothers and priests and associates are relatable, accessible, everyday people, and it kind of gets us on the same level together. Kind of a follow-up question to all of that. How do you think that you guys and maybe the participants, the delegates who are here now, how do you come to understand the Viatorian community? We hear some people start to describe not just the church or the school or the congregation as Viatorian, but almost like they describe themselves as teenagers as Viatorian. How has that impacted you guys? How do you feel about your identity as a Catholic or even as a Viatorian?
Well, for me, it has pushed me to go to the full step of where I'm committing myself to be a Viatorian, to be an associate. It really shows me that all of the delegates here throughout the years have felt a strong connection with the charism of the Viatorians, with social justice, with the Eucharist, with prayer, that maybe some of them didn't come into it knowing exactly all the types of prayers that they could do or what the Liturgy of the Hours are, but they leave knowing that this is what the Viatorians do and this is what we're about.
Yeah, for me, mainly, I like to identify with that, Viatorian title, because I feel that it means you're standing up for the little guy and you're actively pursuing social injustices and trying to be those good people that, the world really needs right now.
Yeah, I've always felt a strong relation of my Catholic identity to who I am as a person, but I never really looked into the Viatorians until I started at St. Viator High School a few years ago. And I think that the emphasis on being active in the world, on different issues, whether it be issues related to immigration or environmental policies, really impacted how I want to spend the rest of my time, in my free time, helping out different groups and issues that I'm passionate about. And I think that the Viatorian influence had a great role in that.
So maybe one last question. Thinking of maybe some of the people who are here now, thinking of other high school age students who maybe come to VYC in future years, really any young person or young adult listening. You are obviously young people of faith who have made a choice to spend part of your summer in service and leadership with others. What support or encouragement or advice about living your faith would you give to your peers or other people who listen to this throughout the Viatorian community?
I think if I would say anything is just don't give up. I've had periods where I've fallen. I've felt helpless and hopeless. And through Mass, through service, through campus ministry, I've gotten back on my feet, but then I get knocked down again. I mean, everything comes in waves and troughs. And I think that not to be too hard on yourself and to give yourself that grace to bounce back in your faith is really the best thing you can do for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, it doesn't matter if you fall down, but as long as you get back up again, just keep pushing forward and you'll make it.
I'd just say to dive in and not to be afraid to ask questions or to lean on the people in your community, whether you're a part of a Viatorian church or any other church community. There's someone who is willing to be there for you and to guide you, and the more connections you make, the better you'll feel and the deeper connection you'll have with your faith.
That's all for this episode of Viatorian Voices. We'd like to thank Milly, Trevor, and Buddy for joining us. VYC 2023 was led by Program Coordinator, Associate Cutler, and Outgoing Director of Vocation Ministry, Brother John Eustice. The event MC was Associate Tommy Gugino. The Young Adult Coordinator, or YAC, was Buddy Miller. The Young Adult Leaders, or YALs, were Milly Colbert, Abby Hartz, Amy Ochoa, Taylor Bair, Michelle Rivadeneira, Trevor Lyon, and Kyle Wallisch. Additionally, several other professed Viatorians, as well as many other Viatorian associates, helped out with a variety of roles, including giving workshops, celebrating Masses and Sacraments, leading prayer, driving buses, and more. VYC 2024 is planned for July of next year, and we will once again be looking for young adults who have completed high school to apply to lead as young adult coordinators and leaders. And our local youth and campus ministers will be looking for another round of delegates to fill out their Viatorian delegations. Keep an eye out for more info as the 2023-24 year progresses. Viatorian Voices Conversations on the Way is a production of Viatorian Vocation Ministry. The Viatorians are professed brothers and priests, together with women and men lay associates, who proclaim Jesus Christ and his gospel and raise communities where faith is lived, deepened, and celebrated. In the footsteps of Venerable Louis Curbs and under the patronage of St. Bair, we strive to do everything well so that through us Jesus may be adored and loved. To learn more about our community, visit Viatorians.com or follow us on social media at Viatorian USA, or young adults can request to follow at Viatorian YA on the way. Those seeking support and accompaniment in exploring God's invitation for them are invited to reach out to Vocation Ministry. Send us a DM on social media or email vocations@viatorians.com to start a conversation. On behalf of Brother Peter and the Viatorian community, I'm Pre-Associate Dan Masterton. Venerable Louis Curbs, inspire us. St. Bair, pray for us. Adored and loved be Jesus.